Hello everyone. I want to keep this video really raw and, not a ton of editing and whatnot. Basically, I want to sit down and just kind of share my story. Here I say not edited, and I'm trying to get the Dyson vacuum cleaner out from the background. Anyway, Dyson vacuums are amazing. I've never really shared my story. My story is actually really long and there's a lot to it. I've definitely lived a life and had a lot of experiences, that's for sure. But yeah, I thought I'd just, talk about it so that you get to know me a little bit more, and who I really am and where I kind of come from. So first of all, I am Australian. Some people think I'm not. I am. I just lived overseas, so sometimes my accent, especially to other Australians, doesn't come across truly Aussie. I was born in Brisbane. I have 3 younger siblings, and a mother and a father. I guess to an outsider's view, I had a normal childhood. Like, I went to school and I was very grateful to be able to do a lot of sports. I primarily did artistic gymnastics and ballet. Artistic gymnastics is like bars, beam, vault, floor, not the ribbons, hula hoop scenario. It's not that. Some people think artistic means like the ribbons and stuff. It's not. It's the other stuff. And yeah, essentially I was, I guess, talented in both areas. I trained a lot as a child. I trained probably too much, honestly. I'm talking like gymnastics was like 40 hours a week or something, 30, 40 hours. Then I was also doing ballet. Like, I don't even know, like my whole life basically as a child revolved around sport and going to school. And I would do sport, like I would do ballet before school, then go to school, and then go and do more gymnastics and then ballet. And basically what happened was there was this point in time where gymnastics wanted me to go to over 50 hours a week. And I just didn't have the time for it. And so I had to make this decision. And I was quite young when I made that decision. I think I was like, I don't even know, like 10, maybe 11. And I felt like I was at this massive crossroad of my life, which is, it sounds so silly, but I really loved gymnastics. I liked ballet. I loved gymnastics. That's the honest, utter truth. However, ballet was a ticket out of the city that I lived in, and there were some things within my childhood which made moving out of my city a safer and smarter option than pursuing what I actually loved, which was gymnastics. I had goals to be in the Olympics and everything like that. And so I made the decision to pursue ballet. I got into the Australian Ballet School twice, which was in a different city, which was in Melbourne. The first year, my parents made me say no. The second year, they allowed me to say yes. So I left home when I was 13, moved to a different city in Australia called Melbourne. And as I said, like, I love gymnastics. So my reason for being there and pursuing ballet came from a state of survival, in all honesty. And in my first year, I didn't love what I was doing. However, in my first year there, I fell in love with it. I fell in love with it because of the lifestyle it provided me, though. And when something, provides you safety and security, then it's hard to not love it, especially as like a 13-year-old, right? So I did fall completely, utterly in love with ballet, just like you would with a person. And I pursued that for the majority of the rest of my life until something happened. So basically I was there for 3 years. Then I left because I wanted to move overseas. In Australia, we like cricket, we like soccer, we like swimming, rugby, swimming. And so those sports are really well funded. The arts, on the other hand, aren't as well funded. They have become more funded and more pronounced and more recognized over the years, 100%. But you go overseas, that's where it was all originated. You walk down the streets overseas, especially in Europe, there are signs for the opera, there are signs for ballet. In Australia, there's only signs for the freaking rugby, okay? So I wanted to get over there because I loved what I did, and that's where it's more funded. That's where there's more talent. Yes, there's a lot more competition over there. Nonetheless, Australia was still competitive. But I had my reasons for going over there. I wanted to firstly make more money in the future because it's better funded. But secondly, I wanted to be in an environment where the arts are loved and adored and ballet is loved and adored. And in Australia, majority of people don't even actually understand what ballet is, okay? So that was my reason. I left the Australian Ballet School after 3 years. I got my diploma in like dance excellence or whatever it was called. Decided to leave, did a year in Sydney at this private coaching facility, which was actually amazing. And then I didn't mean to go to Germany. That was unintentional. Really long story, but long story short, I was doing this competition called Youth American Grand Prix because it gets you good exposure, and my goal was to get into the finals and perform in America. It's kind of like the amateur Olympics for ballet in a way. And in one of the audition classes, there was this like tall, really scary, I didn't know he was German because the accent was so foreign to me, but he was pretty scary to me, and really tall. And we had this person, and halfway through the class, this admin lady came up to me and was like, oh, is this your name? And I was like, yeah. And she was like, oh, okay. And why are you in this class? And I was like, oh shit. Like, and for the rest of the audition, I just thought, oh my God, did I fill out my application wrong? Maybe I'm not meant to be in this class. Like, I thought I had done something wrong. Next minute, the tall German guy is talking to me, asking me to come to his school literally the next day. And I remember saying to him, oh, can I please have 24 hours to talk to my parents first? So that was definitely a highlight of my experience. And then 24 hours later, the decisions were made, the papers were signed, and I moved overseas. This isn't just any sort of ballet school. It is the best ballet school in the world. Ballet is very political. In my opinion, you have 3 best ballet schools in the world: Royal Ballet School, John Cranko Schule, or Paris Opera. The school I went to was John Cranko Schule, which is in Stuttgart, Germany, and it's funded by Porsche, like the cars. So, and so is the company. So if that doesn't say it's good, I don't know what does. I don't mean that in an egotistical sense. I'm just trying to get across that it was a very, very high caliber school. And so I went over there and I loved it. I adored it. I loved it. It was probably the best years of my life, in all honesty. Everyone was so like-minded, very driven, and it was extremely tough, don't get me wrong. It's not nearly as, I feel like ballet gets such a bad rap in Australia, or just to people who don't understand it, but it's definitely not easy, okay? But I did love it. From the age of 13 though, when I first left home, I had a lot of pain in my ankles. Long story short, when I was 17, I found out why. It wasn't Achilles tendonitis, which it often got misdiagnosed for all these silly things. My father has it in his left foot. My granddad has it in his left foot. My cousin has it in his left foot. I have it in both of my feet. And what it is just a structural abnormality in terms of the bony structure of your ankle bone, which is called your talus bone. So basically, I wasn't born with feet which should be pointed on and constantly clenched like this. And I made matters worse. I became aware of this when I was 17. The surgeon told me after I got some scans done, but he did say, if you get surgery, you are risking your entire career because it's just such a high risk, the amount of surgery that has to be done. So I was in pain for a very long time. The pain got extreme. There were days where I couldn't walk, couldn't sleep. Particularly in Germany, because that was towards the end of my ballet career, I was in so much pain to the point where it was a battle against my mind to literally walk into the studio. It was ridiculous, but I didn't tell anyone. I loved what I did. It provided me such a good life. It provided me with safety, security, really good like-minded people. It was absolutely the most phenomenal, high vibe lifestyle I've ever lived, honestly. So I would push through any amount of pain. COVID hits, forces us all to go home. I really hated that. I was really sick for 2 weeks in Germany as well before there were tests for COVID, because it first hit in Europe, and I'm pretty sure I did get COVID. Forced back home, we trained over Zoom. It was really weird, and of course I was in a city that I really didn't like being in, and there's other circumstances that I won't mention, but it really wasn't good. all of a sudden my body started breaking down on me. Like I couldn't do a single leg calf rise. If you guys don't know what calf rises are, they are like the most basic thing a human being should be able to do. I couldn't stand, I couldn't walk. My body started breaking down on me. I think just because it was telling me, okay, this is enough. You can't do this. So I had to make the decision. It wasn't even a decision. It was like, you have to get surgery because your other option is just stopping right now. So surgery was literally this hope and faith full action in order to hopefully continue my career. It just happened like that. It was absolutely terrible. I remember speaking to my coach about it, you know, over the phone and online, and she was like, I really don't think this is a good idea, but if you can't stand and you can't walk, you're done. So, you know, and it happened at a really bad time because I was literally on the brink of my career, brink of getting into my dream company as well, which was the Dutch National Ballet, which is in Amsterdam. I just think they are absolutely phenomenal, and well, not just me, many people. And got told by her briefly, you know, outside of any of the other ballerinas, like, you should audition, you're probably going to get in. That was like, that meant the fucking world to me, the fact that she said that. These coaches are very tough. They don't really tell you too many compliments, let alone tell you that your dream's about to come true. You know, that was a really big thing. And I felt it was so heartbreaking to have to get these surgeries, but I really had no other option. I got 4 done on the right. They all worked. 5.5 years later, I'm still in pain. I've had about 9 ankle surgeries now. I've gone in and out of surgeries for years. Initially, I think it was about 5 surgeries. I can't remember. But yeah, it didn't work. Basically, I'm in even more pain. I can't, like, it's just ridiculous. So that's part of my journey. I decided to take the education route once I came to the understanding that I can't do ballet anymore. I went to university. I studied year 11 and 12 in 7 months in order to get a really good grade in order to get to university, because I gave up my education. I stopped going to school for ballet, so I had to do all of that. That was really stressful. Got into biomedical science, which is a pre-medical degree, and after a couple of years decided not to be a doctor because I didn't want the lifestyle that came with it. I want a family and kids one day, and I just, unless I was a GP, if you specialize, it's, you know, I mean, some people might like that lifestyle. I just didn't want to. And looking into the future, it just didn't seem like it would fit what I wanted deep down. So I moved to the Gold Coast, where the beach is kind of, you know, just making money basically. I was a personal trainer whilst I was at university and basically got a job down here. I also started my online coaching when I was at university and continued to do that down here. And then my foot got really, really, really bad to the point where I actually couldn't walk around to coach clients. And there was a huge tipping point of just pushing through way too much pain. So I had to stop my personal training and fully go online, which was fine. I had enough clients. And basically that's why I started online coaching. I also noticed, I do love working face-to-face with people, but, you know, from a coaching perspective, people get like 10 times better results online than face-to-face. Why? Because face-to-face is about showing you how to do movements in the gym. Online is about nutrition, it's about the mindset, it's about your training program as well. And you just have access to so much more, particularly within the weight loss department. 99% of your weight loss is in the food that you're eating. You don't even need to go to the gym to lose weight. And, you know, when you're a personal trainer, there's only so much time in the day. You can't be minding people's nutrition or being underpaid and then paying for the session but not paying for nutrition and this one-to-one support and all this other stuff and like the course that I have, and, you know, so it actually worked out better for people who wanted to lose weight. And so that's why, you know, I started doing what I'm doing now a long time ago. It's just, you know, I went full-time online. I think I've been full-time online for like, I don't know, like 2.5 years now. And yeah, so that's my story. That's what brings me here today. One thing I can say is that I really love what I do with weight loss. Not that I've ever been overweight myself, and you might be like, oh, she's never been overweight, then how can she help other people? That's not how I go about it, okay? How I go about it is with sustainability. Being in the ballet world, you are exposed to a lot of eating disorders and just people punishing themselves with exercise. The good thing was I was exposed to the gym when I was 13 at the Australian Ballet School. And I also did gymnastics where we had this strength and conditioning program before I even hit the age of 13, younger than that. So I have trained in gym-like environments and the gym for over a decade of my life, borderline 20 years now. And so what I realized, and when I lost my career due to these ankle surgeries, I felt really lost, really confused, overwhelmed, like a failure, didn't know myself, very scary place to be, incredibly unhappy, basically depressed. The one thing I didn't have people who understood my situation. I didn't have people who also lost their career. I didn't have people who were learning to walk again over and over and over again. I didn't have people who built muscle in the gym and then lost it all again because now all of a sudden they're going through more surgery. I didn't have that, but I did have the gym. The gym was the one place where I could modify movements, and you can really modify movements to the point where you don't aggravate any sort of injury. When I was 13, I used the gym as well, and I continued to use it throughout all of my balletic career, despite what you might think in your own mind about the stereotype of ballet. I was so strong, I was so fit. I was always the strongest and the fittest out of anyone. Why? Because I always prioritized the gym. I would do anything to be 1% better, which also included nutrition, which is why I never underate as a ballerina. I also never overate. I was always fueled. And so the one thing I came back to when I felt lost and confused and overwhelmed was health and fitness, nutrition, training alongside my mindset. And so that's why doing weight loss means so much to me. Because instead of teaching women, you have to punish your body, you have to burn all of these calories and be constantly focused on tracking calories and everything like that, which is not what I do, which is not going to serve them long term, we take this sustainable approach, and we take this approach of learning to love your body and respect your body. And that's why you exercise. Loving your body so much, that's why you nourish your body. Having the healthy balance where you can go on a date night and eat, a little bit of junk food and this and that, but also balance it out, work with your hormones, all of these things. And it's such a different approach to standard weight loss quick fixes, right? You can hear it in, client testimonials of mine. So that is where this passion comes from with weight loss. And that's why I continue to do what I do today. I got asked by a mum the other day, why don't you just teach ballet? Firstly, that's gonna trigger me if I go into a ballet studio. Secondly, I could get a job anywhere at any time. But it isn't what means the most to me. What means the most to me is helping people with tools that literally saved my life. I'm not kidding, I was suicidal. I didn't tell anyone. I definitely didn't tell anyone, which proves the fact that I was suicidal, because suicidal people don't usually tell people. I was at this extreme low. Absolutely mind-crippling anxiety. Anxiety to the point where I physically felt sick. Overweight people are often, particularly women, they don't feel confident, they feel very anxious, they feel very depressed, they don't like what they look like in the mirror. And at the end of the day, it comes back to this diminished level of self-respect and self-worth. And that's why I love what I do, because it comes from this energy, honestly. It comes from this energy of helping women learn to love and respect themselves through health and fitness to not only lose weight, but maintain that weight loss long term. It's a literal change in mindset. It's a literal change in lifestyle. It is the 2.0 version of you. There is a whole new reality. There is a whole different version of you who not only is going to serve you and your life better, but everyone else that you love and care for inside you right now. And basically what I help people do is guide them into that. Because the whole time I knew, there must be a better version of me. There must be a version of me that isn't anxious, that isn't depressed, that loves what they do, that can find a new career, and that is still able to go to the beach. I love the beach. I would surf if I could, but my foot's still bad. But there's this 2.0 version of you, and it exists. And that's what you need to tap into in order to maintain the weight loss long term. There is nothing worse than losing 10 pounds, 20 pounds, 30 pounds, 50 pounds, and then once you finish that time with the coach, just putting it all back on. Or doing some diet and then putting it back on. That's why we must change your mindset. We must get you to tap into that best version of you. We must teach you to not punish yourself with exercise, not punish yourself with these just ridiculous ways of eating. And yeah, it all comes back to my experiences. Not only am I obviously certified in all of these things, and I'm very, intelligent, but, that's what's brought me to the position I'm in today. And that is my story to this date. I still live on the Gold Coast. I do online coaching. I'm still trying to heal my foot. And I still go to the gym. I still eat well, but I'll still go on a date night. And I truly love and adore this 2.0 version of me. The version of me that's healed, the version of me who doesn't punish themselves with exercise, the version of me who can look in the mirror and love myself, not for the way I look, but for the way I emotionally and mentally feel. Even though being healthy is important, 100% is important for your longevity, something that I always bring back to the women who are trying to lose weight is that don't think that once you lose all of the weight, then all of a sudden you're going to love yourself. Because you have to learn to love yourself for where you are now. You have to learn to respect yourself enough for where you are now to even take action to lose the weight. How can someone who has a low sense of self-worth even take the action to lose weight? Even take the action to have like a one-on-one chat with me to discuss, what kind of strategy would work for you. So, I look in the mirror and I love myself for who I am. My value is so far beyond what I look like and what my body can do. Nonetheless, I still respect my body and I will move it and I will make sure it's as healthy as it can be, even within my limitations. But it's not coming from this view of, I have to look good in order to get other people's approval or this like external validation. And I think that's just really important, and that's a great closing message to finish this video off on. With that being said, if you do want to book a one-to-one chat with me to discuss, where you're at within your weight loss journey versus where you want to be, and kind of see what sort of strategy would work for you individually, you can book in a call by filling out the link below. If there's no time availability that suits you, just shoot me a message in the comments or on Instagram. I'll link my coaching Instagram in the link below as well. But that's it for today's video, guys. Thanks for watching. And I know that was a really long story, but that is my story so far. And I look forward to creating another video when I have more to add to that story. So thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video.